Welcome to the last video of this course. This video will focus on the last piece of the puzzle for a successful problem-based learning experience, student reflections. We all know that students generally love taking selfies and posting them on the social media outlets of their choice. But here, we're going to teach them to look beyond the picture they snap and become self-reflective so that they might grow as a learner and an individual. If we look back at some of our nation's greatest accomplishments, those have only been made possible when people view opportunity as a gift and use it well. Students are programmed to expect the teacher to reflect on their learning and work for them. We do it constantly in the form of grades. The student demonstrates knowledge, the teacher evaluates, and we tell them if they met our standards. But what is lacking from this process is the student learning to evaluate their own work and see if it measures up to both the teacher's goals and the goals they set for themselves. However, after leaving their academic journey, grades become obsolete forms of reflection. In very few career choices will their employer take the time to grade their work on a daily basis. They will be expected to know they have produced quality work on their own. This makes it all the more important to teach students to reflect on their own accomplishments and products objectively. It is also the final piece of the puzzle for effective problem-based learning to occur. Just as discussed in the previous video, often we are reflecting on our personal experiences. We can be very critical of ourselves and initiate a very derogatory view of our abilities. Students are even more susceptible to this feeling and behavior. Human nature makes us need to feel accepted, accomplished, and worthy. As students navigate the emotionally turbulent adolescent years, they frequently judge themselves by how they think others will perceive them. In order to foster confidence in themselves and their abilities, it is important that we teach them that self-reflection is so much more than self-criticism. It is a chance to focus on the good just as much, if not more, than the bad, and instill in them that a failure is simply something to work on or try different the next time. We need to teach them that failure does not equal a lack of worth. It gives them an opportunity to identify what went wrong and make it better on our next attempt. In order to ingrain this in their toolbox of life skills, we have to teach them to view their performances through a lens of objectivity. There are many ways to do this. It might be with something similar to how you use the rubric from Task 2 to objectively evaluate your initial lesson plan. The best way to support your students in developing a positive relationship with self-reflection is to provide them with opportunities to engage in it. This can be done in the form of an exit ticket asking them how they felt about their work done that day. With older or mature students, small or whole group discussions can be used. Use caution with this though, as some students will not feel comfortable sharing their thoughts in front of an audience. Depending on the group dynamics, there is also a tendency for students to be excessively critical because they don't want to be perceived as cocky or like they are bragging on themselves to their peers. As mentioned earlier, you may have students use the same evaluation rubric you used to see how their work measures up to the standards set. Many times, this self-reflection can be in the form of a journal, much like the one you have been encouraged to use throughout this course. This option can be a private journal that no one but the student sees, or it can be one that is shared only with the teacher. Many students will be more comfortable with the journal, and because of the privacy it affords them, they will likely be more honest in their reflections. Teachers often question how student reflections should be used. This is a question you'll have to answer yourself. Take careful consideration of the individual's attitudes and feelings when making your decisions. As a conclusion to our course, consider these 3 questions. Should student reflections be included in their formal evaluations? Meaning, should their reflections influence their grade? How will you help your students be objective in their self-reflective process? This does not happen by accident and will require a solid plan from you. And lastly, how will you handle student reflections that contradict your evaluation of their work? This can be a ticklish situation, and you need a plan for how to handle this dilemma in advance. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for going on this journey with me. Problem-based learning can be an amazing tool, and you know all of the essential planning practices that can take it from a good idea to a phenomenal learning experience. I wish you the best of luck and happy future planning.